everyone. I'm Elise Mitney, a food writer and recipe developer in Los Angeles. And today I'm so happy to be joined by my friend, Chef Kristen Kish, coming to us from Arlo Gray in Austin, Texas. How are you?
I am so good. So good. I apologize in advance for any restaurant noise in the background. So
it sets the ambiance, a nice mood for us.
Exactly. There's going to be a ticket machine that goes off, and then we're going to have that moment of, oh my God, but everything's going to be fine.
Yes. But Kristen and I have known each other since like 2016. We met because we're both Korean American adoptees, and we talked about how much food has impacted us. And together over the years, we've eaten Korean barbecue. We've like virtually seen each other a million times. And now here we are cooking together one day, finally in the same kitchen, maybe when it's not a pandemic. But so this is today in collaboration with the incredible film Found on Netflix, a documentary, and with Adopteen, who helps mentor and support adoptees like us, just as kids usually, not at our ages, but we're just like the same age as the kids in the film, right? Like 16.
Yes, obviously.
And today we're making Kristen's amazing recipe, which is a different twist on the crispy rice. Do you want to talk a little bit about it first? Kick us off?
Yeah. So basically, this dish has been on my restaurant. We opened June of 2018. And when I was developing the menu, and we talk about food and identity and what it actually means to us, especially as adoptees, is that a lot of my food is not Asian leaning at all. But what it is, it's just essentially a story of my life. And so this dish was not created out of like the Japanese crispy rice, but more so this idea of that I love Persian rice with that like crispy shell. And then the crab and the bacon. We're gonna substitute mushrooms for crab today, but at the restaurant, it's crab and bacon, saffron aioli, and it's basically hot buttered crab roll a la New England, which is where I did a lot of my adult cooking career. So it is Asian leaning, but it's also certainly a little bit more of the New England and my love of crispy rice in general. And then that extra layer of leaning into a little bit of like the Asian influence.
Totally. And something that we've talked about is that just because you look Korean or look Asian doesn't mean you have to cook Korean or Asian food. It was something that you definitely didn't do on Top Chef that much, something that you talked about in your cookbook, and just something that I think that people, when they look at the two of us, they're like, oh, Korean, but they don't realize that our parents are white, something that the film, I believe Sadie spoke about, like, it's like having a middle name. Like you have it, but no one knows it unless they ask you about it. So is that something that consciously you did with the restaurant? I know that you have it inspired by Persian rather than Japanese. So what kind of inspired you to put this twist on it we have these beautiful dried shiitake mushrooms from Mala Market. And I've got one unsoaked so we could look at it. But of course, the bag is incredibly hard to open on camera, so I'll let you speak while I try to get this open.
I mean, so Top Chef was a turning point in my career. Mushrooms have always been this thing that I love. And it was moments also where I think I started to come into my own, and I won my first challenge cooking mushrooms. And mushrooms are just like this thing that I love. And dried shiitakes in particular have so much flavor. So like they are so concentrated. They have a depth of umami and caramelization once those crispy edges start to cook in like fat. It's just absolutely delicious. And it has like that meaty texture. And so for me, it was kind of a no-brainer. I use it a lot to flavor chicken stocks for different pasta dishes. And I remember talking about this whole idea of being Asian and what we cook I remember I got in this car once and this guy was like, oh, talking to me. It's like, oh yeah, you're a chef. I'm like, mm-hmm. And he said, well, what do you like to cook? Or what do you cook? And I already hate that question. It's like, what kind of food do you make? And I was like, I really love making noodles. Like, it's just one of my favorite things. And he said, oh, like ramen? And I was like, no, like Italian pasta. And I was like, no. But I understand what the assumption is. But I think it's cool to kind of play with. And as I've gotten more confident as a cook and more confident in who I am, I'm able to confidently use Asian ingredients in my cooking and not feel bad about it. So we can get into, we've talked about that a little bit, of feeling worthy of your Asian heritage and culture. But anyway, so this is kind of like a combination of my adult childhood Asian slash just growing up all coming together. And you end up with like a crunchy, mayo laden, herbaceous, bacon fatty, like rice bowl. So for me,
Yeah.
what's not to love?
If that's not you in a dish, I don't know what is.
Right.
And
If you
also
know
what I
anything
love-
about me, it's mayo.
Yes, QP for life. And what I love about these mushrooms, in particular, dried shiitakes, and these are beautiful because they're white shiitakes, is like, this is the before, dried, shrivelly, like beautiful, but like, oh, looks old.
Mhm.
And then it's like plumped and renewed. It went to the Korean Day Spa, which I did yesterday in preparation for today. And it's just like plump and juicy, and like the liquid that comes off of it. Like, if no one has drained their mushrooms who is tuning in, don't like use that liquid and fortify your stocks and use it as a vegetarian substitute for like dashi or
Yeah.
another like anchovy stock in Korean culture. I find, and you can tell me differently, that the stems on here are usually a little too like woody. So do you like to remove them?
I do if they're really big. These are such
Pretty
small
small.
mushrooms in general that
Yeah.
like the stem I can just bite right off. So
Okay.
the larger ones that you get, certainly like knob those off, but
Yeah.
there's an oven going off in my background. But yes, we should start. So while we're on the topic of mushrooms, let's talk about that for a second. So because of the size, the goal is really just to get them to be all the same size, right? So I found that I want more of a bite. So all I did was halve them.
Okay.
So I know that you already have your rice cakes done. So I see that.
Yes.
So while you're having your mushrooms, mine
Okay.
already have, I'm going to form my rice patties, and we'll talk about that. So basically I use Japanese rice. I do a simple 1-to-1 ratio. Where is it? There it is. So it has a nice twosome, because we are going to cook this again. So you have to remember
Okay.
that a little bit of like al dente is actually a good thing.
Yeah. I use my trusted Zojirushi to do the rice for me, which I don't know about you, but I didn't grow up with a rice cooker. And once I discovered what a rice cooker can do, because my parents to this day still use, until I showed them differently, used Uncle Ben's boil and bag rice.
Oh
That
yeah.
was my experience with rice growing up. So I actually didn't really think I liked rice unless it was at a Chinese American restaurant. So once I realized I could have that fluffy, perfect rice without doing like any work, just letting the machine do it for me, or like a Cuckoo is a good Korean brand. Like, I make rice every single day now, or at least every other day. What about you? Like, did rice become part of your culture as you grew up and as a chef, or did you eat a lot of rice as a kid?
We ate boil in a bag, like the parboiled. Rice has always been this thing that I thought I was like, oh, I love it. I love rice because I'm Asian. It's in my blood.
Yeah.
But little did I know that I was not eating the rice of my people. I was eating the rice of the Midwest.
Yes.
But rice nonetheless. But I just want to mention one thing for those that are cooking along with us. I just took a little bit of sesame oil. You don't have to do this, but I like a little bit of that flavor. And I just rubbed it on my hands before I went in and went for the rice, and then started forming it. What this does two things. It flavors the outside, and then it also keeps the rice from sticking to your hands.
Yeah. And you can also use water, which is a great hack too. But I like the sesame oil trick, and toasted sesame oil always for this purpose,
Yes.
right? And
you can make these any shape you want. So I'm just going into like small, like hockey puck discs. Because I want it to be as flat on the surface as possible, because the more surface area you have in the pan with the fat, the crispier it's going to get.
Yeah, that's what you want.
You have your rice patties done. I have my rice patties done.
Yeah.
So I think as you're cutting those, I think we should start rendering out the bacon.
Actually, first, Kristen, if you don't mind, I'm actually going to introduce the filmmaker, Amanda.
Yeah.
I know that this film was a really special one for the women in it, but there's also an incredible woman behind it who put this story together of 3 young women finding not only their heritage, but finding themselves, something that I think I didn't really do until I was like maybe 28. I'm in my 30s now. And I just think that it's incredible what she's done for this community to give us a voice on Netflix, a huge platform. Congratulations to her. And I'd love to, hi, Amanda, talk a little bit about how you discovered this story and what invigorated you to need to tell it, and how you did it was so special with so many different perspectives. So I'll let you take it away. Hi.
Hi, thank you guys so much for having me. I have a lot of children and I'm in the kitchen, the center of the home. So you may hear babies crying or other requests coming in. No, I came to the story because Chloe, the young bat mitzvah girl at the beginning of the film, is my niece. And my brother is Gene, her father, and he's my big brother. And you know, I just fell in love with her when she came into our family, and I just asked, I had questions, you know, like, who was that woman in the picture handing her to my sister-in-law with that huge smile on her face and like those tears in her eyes, and like, what was her story? And then just at that time, there was no DNA testing. There was no sites like 23andMe. So the hopes of her connecting with family seemed like very, very remote. And then for 15 years later, for things to change so dramatically and for her to find Sadie, that was just a very momentous occasion at the same time as she was becoming a bat mitzvah.
Yeah.
And I asked my brother and Sari and Chloe if I could film the bat mitzvah. And they said yes.
Wow.
And this is my daughter, Charlie.
Hi, Charlie. So nice to meet you.
Hi. Chloe's
I never had a bat mitzvah. I am half Jewish, technically full Jewish because my mom and my Grammy are Jewish, but I call myself Jew-ish, emphasis on the ish. And I've always connected culturally with the food, which is something that we're here for today. Like I liken this Korean pancake called kamjajan, which is a crispy, chewy Korean potato pancake, to latkes. I call them like my Korean latkes. So I just think it's really special how food can be so important to your culture, even if you don't go to synagogue every week and you don't get a bat mitzvah, you can still be Jewish and Koreanish and Korean American.
Yeah.
And
in June. And I will say we did a project at our school. There was like this great children's book, and it was about a wonton soup versus a kreplach soup.
Oh,
and it was these two
that's so nice.
this children's book, and it was a great book. And I totally get where you're coming from.
That's amazing. And for those who haven't seen the film, we actually are going to tee up the trailer here so people can see what they haven't seen yet or have a reason to rewatch. So we're going to cut to the trailer now.
Everyone keeps telling me it's my home place. I don't remember it all. I was brought in the street and then brought back out. 16 years later, here we are.
It all started when we did 23andMe, and that's how I found Lily. Hey! Sadie. Hi!
This is so cool. We found out that she had cousins around her age.
It opened up new ideas about our adoption. It's a history and travel group. They help you find your birth parents.
My job is to track down those people who might have connection with Lily, Sadie, and Chloe.
Looking for one's lost history is important.
We found something very interesting. I think they could be your biological parents. Would you like to come with me?
They're gonna come with me, right?
Yeah, we'll all be with you. I feel like I'm kind of just walking through a movie, but then I'm like, wait, no, this is real life.
I'm so proud of you guys. You need to have a lot of courage to come back. I haven't known them for long. You just know they know what you feel. When you know where you come from, you can find the peace in your heart.
And I have bacon sizzling, Kristen, so that is the perfect, it looks literally, as I said, here comes the trailer, here comes the bacon.
We're gonna
Ooh,
Oh,
those look great.
Charlie, to all Charlie.
nicely done. Nicely done. So I'll just kind of go through this bacon thing and then everyone can kind of go at their same pace. So basically I just took smoked bacon. and started rendering out the fat. So it's about halfway cooked right now. So once that bacon is starting to cook and you get about halfway there, I'm gonna add the shiitake mushrooms and let those sizzle in with the fat. We're gonna let those sizzle away until you get a little bit of color on those mushrooms. And then right at the end, you hit it with the green beans.
All right.
So, and then of
Is that
course,
all-
season with salt and pepper along the way.
I have so many green, I got a long bean, guys, and I wanted to show just how big it is. Like I just feel like it's part of me now, but I had to cut it to Kristen's specifications, so.
So if you
Bye,
think,
long
if you think about this recipe, it is specific ingredients, but it really is just a roadmap. So if you don't like mushrooms, throw in something different. If it's the season is not for green beans and they look like crap at the grocery store, do something else. So it's basically just like this nice sauteed veggie bacon mix that all cooks together in bacon fat. So really you could do whatever you wanted. It's just, again, a roadmap of suggestions.
So I'm actually very loud right now in my kitchen because of all the bacon deliciousness happening. Mine's not quite halfway yet, so I'm gonna give it another minute before I add my mushroom. But this is like a really riffable dish, and I actually prepared a incredibly spicy salmon filling by accident because this amazing chili crisp from Mala Market is vibrant orange and red. I don't know about you, but when I eat spicy food, I sweat and cry.
Yeah.
I think it's just such beautiful flavor. I can't help it. But my body feels like it's rejecting the spiciness. And something that I've always struggled with is not feeling Korean enough because I couldn't eat kimchi without crying for a long time. Now I can. But spices like this still really like mess me up. So what was your journey with spicy food? Could you always eat it as a kid, or did you have to grow to love it as you became a chef?
No, spicy food has always been part of my thing. And I will say, growing up in Michigan, my version of spice was definitely not my now version of spice.
Yeah.
And so growing up, it was like Tabasco a little bit, like a little splash here and there. But over the years, like I sweat, my face turns a little red, but for me, no shame, I'm going to go for it. And I just love that feeling. I will say, as a chef though, as my palate has developed, I don't like spice for the sake of spice, and I don't like spice when I can't taste anything else. And so there is a fine balance. I'm not one of those people that goes to like the hottest wings ever and sees if I get a free t-shirt. Like that's not for me. That's not fun. But what's fun is having a flavor enhancement through the spice. And so you're able to like taste everything else. Your nose opens up, everything starts to open up, and you really can feel it and you can really taste it.
Yeah, I think that nuance. Oh my gosh, you're already done. Let me put my mushrooms in. They're ready. We got halfway. We're going in with mushrooms. Add to my pile of dirty dishes.
So the key is to do everything ahead of time before the rice. So as soon as the rice is done, it's like pasta when you think of pasta.
Yeah.
Your sauce will wait for your pasta will not wait for your sauce. And it's the same thing. Swap in saute and rice. So meanwhile, while that's just hanging out, I'm gonna build my Kewpie mayo mix.
Yes.
So
I'm gonna do it with you because I only did my incredibly spicy one. So maybe I'll go less spicy for this one, more heavy on the Kewpie. Got the same.
So this is the chili crisp from Mala Market. So you said this one's really spicy. Some of them are spicy, some of them aren't. So use them as you want.
Elise didn't try the chili crisp on her own first, and then just put a nice, about that tablespoon size, but a whole one of that was a lot. So you live, you learn, and I don't regret it, but I will regret it when I'm sweating profusely in a few minutes. But that's okay. I think that it builds character. And I added a little splash of rice vinegar, right? Because I did that before you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I put it, so Kewpie, I love Kewpie because it has an acidity level that regular mayo doesn't, but I like even more, a punch of, a little bit more of a punch of acid. So I just go a little bit of rice vinegar that is more sweet than it is acidic in a lot of ways. Yeah. And then I just mix that in. So you can kind of do the balance and the layers that you prefer.
Look at that. Even without the spice. You know what I'm going to do? Since I did too spicy on my other one, I'm gonna go in with gochujang, which is like a little sweeter and Korean. So why not do a little bit of spice in this? So it won't be quite as vibrant as yours, but it will still be good. And I like the gochujang toothpaste tube. That's what I call it, but it's just on the go gochujang. On the gochujang, that should be my brand. That's not enough.
So if you do, I would go more. So even if you don't want, again, if you're not a big mayo person, just leave it off. It's totally
Yeah.
fine. If chili and spice isn't your thing, you can just go even a little bit of fresh lemon juice or a little bit of olive oil. Like again, you can take this and tailor it to however you want to eat it.
Oh yeah.
All right. So you have your rice patties, you have your
Yes.
mayo, you have
I
your
need to add my green
saute.
beans to cook. My bacon was rendering a little slowly, so I turned up the heat. And now my mushrooms are getting a little color. I actually have some fond on the bottom of the pan that I don't know if I'm gonna be able to deglaze without a liquid. So I could add like a splash of sake or mirin, but I don't wanna
Yep.
like make my bacon not crispy anymore.
I mean, this is, again, it's completely up to, take it as Asian as you want.
Yes, as Asian as I want. Or I could put vermouth in it. I mean, I could put an Italian aperitif in, whatever. I mean, you spent a lot of your career with Barbara Lynch, who does the most incredible pastas. So I feel like when you told me that question about the taxi driver asking you about noodles and assuming that it's noodles like udon or ramen, I just think it's so interesting because noodle is such a universal word. So many different cultures have a noodle. And I think that the world should be open to the word being the same across, like, whether it's like an udon or it's a spaghetti or it's something totally different. So
yeah.
I think the English language could use some improvement, but we all know.
I feel like you're the one to spearhead that process.
Yes,
And
as a
and I will
writer,
follow.
that is my job, right? To right the wrongs of our ancestors.
All right, so how are you? You're good with your saute, yeah?
Yeah, I'm just gonna deglaze a little bit and get a wooden spoon and scrape it up because I can't lose that delicious flavor on the bottom.
Okay, so while you're finishing that,
Okay.
I'm gonna take whether, some bacon lets off a lot of fat, some doesn't, if you want to strain it out. Mine particularly did not.
Yeah, mine
leave out-
either.
or leach out a lot. So what I'm going to do is that neutral oil we talked about. So a grapeseed oil, canola oil, vegetable oil. I'm going to take a separate pan, and this is where we're going to crisp our rice. I'm going to take that separate pan. I'm going to use a little mix of clarified butter and
Ooh.
oil, just because I'm in my restaurant and it's already made for me.
Yes.
With your saute, when it's like 100% and you deglaze it and it's with the flavors right where you're at, this is where you're going to add a little pat of butter.
Okay.
You just need to like gloss it up.
All right. My leg. Oh, you know what? Oh my God, I have brown butter from Trader Joe's. You know what? No, because I want to use the really nice salted butter I store in my butter eggplant. It's a, like you say, I don't know what it's meant to actually be, but I use it as a butter dish. So we're gonna add the butter from there.
Okay,
Wait,
I'm gonna
what's
stay.
the
I'm gonna
best butter you've ever had? That's like a very important question to me.
Iceland.
Oh,
I mean, just beautiful. And you put it on this dried fish. I forget the name, but like this fish jerky, and you just take cold butter and smear it on fish jerky, and it's like absolutely delicious.
Okay. Too
So
early for that.
I'm gonna take my rice patty
Okay.
and I'm gonna put it in.
Are you doing one at a time, Kristen, or can you do a couple without crowding?
It depends on how big your pan is.
Okay. My green beans need like another 45 seconds to be tender crisp. I can tell they're a little too crisp, but then I will switch over to rice as well. Let's check in with the girls and see how they're doing on their cooking. We have Sadie and Lily joining us from Oklahoma, which I've never been to, but I imagine they are having a lot of fun trying to cook like us at home. Ladies, we are ready for you. I feel like Charlie's Angels, like ladies. Hello. Hi girls, how are you? How are you doing with your cooking? It's so nice to meet you.
We're doing good. We're a little behind. We're on the side.
We have
That's okay.
3 team members in our
Yeah,
kitchen.
we had 3 of us, but we're still not as fast.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
It's
At the
okay.
end, at the end of the day, as long as your rice is crispy and you have like that base of like yummy bacon stuff and some mayo to put on top of it, it does not matter.
Okay.
Mayo's
Sounds
done.
good. We
Um,
made square-shaped rice patties.
Ooh, a square. It's hip to be square. I think that when I've done crispy rice, I often press it the night before into a pan and then cut it into really nice, neat squares like a restaurant. But I really like the hockey puck because it's gonna get tender inside and crispy on the outside, which is a Kristen Kish genius move. So I recommend you make one as a puck. Yes.
I did do a hockey puck.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so in the restaurant, because we sell 50 of these a night, so we take our rice and we put them in these little half pints, we push them down, and then to order, we just pop it out like that and sear it.
Yes.
Oh,
That's
smart.
So you can do
smart.
it ahead of time, yeah.
You can also use a cookie scoop, like a spring-loaded cookie scoop that you grease, and then that will kind of help form a ball. I do that for muffins. I do that for meatballs. A lot of fun shapes you can do. And Deborah, Lily's mom, I think you're in the background.
Yes.
Yes, hi Deborah. It's so nice to meet you. Are you helping with the cooking too? Are you making the mushroom mixture?
Doing the mushroom mixture, I'm the absolute worst cook. And
Well, I was gonna ask, like, was food a big part of your household growing up with Lily? Like,
but it was like meat, potatoes, and gravy.
you
And
know
I
what? You're speaking our language.
don't like meat, so
Can you tell her from Oklahoma?
yeah.
I grew up in upstate New York, Binghamton, home of the casserole, and Kristen grew up in Casserole Central as well. So
In
it's
Michigan.
like- I feel like it's like meant to be like I think that like the casserole, there's actually a lot of casserole elements in Korean food for Korean and I, for Kristen and I. There a lot of mozzarella cheese on top of things, melted on top of Korean food. So I think in Chinese culture, it's less prominent, but everybody loves a meat and potatoes casserole.
So as that mix is being done, that mix can kind of sit out and let it hang out as you're doing everything else. So once it's done, just turn off that heat and you don't even have to worry about it anymore. The cucumbers, I cut really thin. So you can do matchsticks, you can do half moons, you can do rounds. Again, there's no rules really. So long as you get all the things on it, mash it in a bowl and you can eat it. So go it, whatever shape you want to do.
And you did a just salt to taste, Kristen, right, on the mushroom mix?
Yep, so everything's salt to taste. So depending on how salty your bacon is, or how much you seasoned your rice during the cooking process, it might need a little bit more salt. So just taste as you go.
Yeah. The salt to taste thing confuses a lot of home cooks. So how would you describe ideal saltiness as a chef? I know that's a hard question because everyone's palates differ, but I get that question asked a lot to me as a food writer. They're like, what does salt to taste even mean? I said, salt to your taste. Does it taste good? And that's kind of what I think the answer is, right?
As long as it tastes good to you. You're cooking at home for yourself or for your family or for your friends. Obviously in restaurants where people are coming to us and paying money for it, like we dial it in even more. And when we think about salting to taste, when I think about in the restaurant, it's about not just the taste, one taste. It's about when you eat the entire dish with other foods involved. And so oftentimes when we're tasting for salt, we're eating the entire plate, just one person, because you have to, one bite could not be salty. The whole bowl, once you get done with everything, could end up being quite salty.
All right. So my pan's heating. I'm gonna put in some neutral oil. I have grapeseed. About just to cover the bottom, right? It's a shallow fry.
Yep, exactly. So you don't want it to cover up all the rice because anything that's covered in the oil is going to get crispy. So as much as of a crust you want, I would recommend not doing such a large, thick crust because it does get a lot, it becomes a lot to chew. So a nice crispy layer. Think of a little bit thicker than a perfect creme brulee crack.
Okay. So I actually have room for all four in here, and I'm gonna use a splatter screen because I know me, and I'm gonna get mess all over myself. So I have a splatter screen. Highly recommend. Not in a commercial kitchen because you're fine with getting oil everywhere, but in my kitchen, I always make a mess. I don't know about you, but when I'm at home, I'm always scrubbing something.
Yes. So I'm just gonna get this plated up so everyone can see the final product so you know what you're going for. And I think that might be helpful. So I'm gonna move my computer down.
Perfect.
basically I'm going to take our mix here. So the recipe is for 4. You can, you know, depending on how big your appetite is, do whatever you want. But I'm going to put a little bit in the bowl, and we use this great vessel here at the restaurant, and you're going to see why in a second, because it has a lid. So I put that mix in the bottom. Here we are with that crispy layer on the rice.
Yeah.
Crispy, and then I'm going to put that on top of our mix here. I'm going to take our spicy mayo and I just drizzle it over the top, let it fall at where it may. A little bit of black pepper.
Ooh.
And then we have our cucumbers, kind of sprinkle around. We have some scallions, just chopped scallions. And then I love cilantro stems. I think they have the most flavor. So I like to keep big bundles of cilantro with the stem, and I put it all over the top.
And it's much more herbaceous and bright, I think, than the leaves. Is that why you like it?
Exactly. It's just, I like the texture of it too, because cilantro leaves are very, very tender and very soft, and they wilt as soon as they hit something hot. And those stems really just kind of fold up to it. So all that stuff is nice and packed in here. And then at the restaurant, what we do just to keep everything hot, and as like this reveal, we have these, we do lids, and on top of the lid, we just have lemons. So it comes to your table, the server will take the lid off and then encourage the guests to take that fresh lemon.
Give it a
squeeze
squeeze.
it all over the top.
I like to, at home, this is a little hack. I feel like I learned from watching someone on TV. I still use the middle of the lemon, but I cut off the little cheeks so you don't get seeds.
Yep, you
Then I
can
use
definitely
it
do that.
for tea or whatever. But once in
So
a
it's
while.
basically just like a big crispy rice bowl that you can just crack into, mix it all together. Oh my gosh, it smells so good.
My rice, I think, is ready to flip. I'm gonna give her a flip. Ladies, how is yours going? Jean, Chloe, your dad is on, I think, too, and Victoria, Sadie's mom. So maybe we'll check in with them too and get a whole family going, because you're not in the same place.
I accidentally put the scallions in the pan.
That's
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. This is the beauty of cooking. I give you a little bit of a roadmap, and then you just take it where you want.
Yeah.
Smell good though. It smells good in your kitchen, guys.
It does smell really good. It smells really good.
My rice didn't get as crispy as I want, but I'm afraid of turning up the heat because it's splattering even through my splatter screen. So I'm gonna let it go a little bit longer. It got a little golden on one side, but what's the goal? Like shade of like being tan. Like how much have you sat in the sun to get your perfect golden crispy rice?
So it all is going to depend on how much moisture your rice has. So everyone's is going to be different. So you can develop a crust and have it be really quite blonde, but still have that nice crunch. Or you can have that deep, deep golden. And if your rice was really dry, it almost starts to puff because it was so dehydrated. So you're going to have a mix of different things. The goal really isn't necessarily maybe the color, but more so what it feels like if you can scrape the top and it's a little crispy.
With like a fork or something.
Yeah.
You're that. Okay. Victoria, it's so nice to meet you. I love your pink. We're both in color today. Are you cooking away in the background there?
I am not. I intended to, but I guess Sadie will show me when she gets home.
Yes.
Here she is. I stole her.
I know. We cook a lot, so.
You're like getting hot. I have to like dab. I feel like I'm in a fainting spell. I have to dab my forehead. But yeah, Victoria, it's so nice to meet you. And I found the film so beautiful seeing your story. I'm adopted from Korea, and my mom recently watched the film after I told her about what I was doing. And she just said, it must be so nice to have a community of other moms to talk to about this, a very specific, special situation. So in the way that the 3 ladies found their own kind of family, like, do you feel like you found a family with everyone else here?
Absolutely do. I mean, and there's questions I think I can ask them. It's like, well, is this going on? And how are you approaching it? And yeah, for me, it's been a big help.
And Jean, it looks like you're cooking down there. How's it going? I love your green kitchen.
Thank you. It's going good. It's fun. I wasn't sure how to baton a piece of bacon that was already sliced. I just decided to make little mini pinwheels of the bacon.
Oh my God, it looks amazing.
Innovation in bacon.
Yeah. And this has come out well. There.
Very good.
It's ready to go. So yeah, I'm really excited about this sort of like Simpsons Springfield lemon you sent me
Oh,
from
wow.
Radioactive Tree. This should be.
You know, I think that lemon just has a lot of pucker power. It's gonna be real. It could be sweet or sour. We don't know. It might be like a Sour Patch Kid.
I think it'll probably be quite pithy, is my guess.
Oh, well, I think that's a good vocabulary word for people who are tuning in. So I think that will be helpful to someone, even if it's a little bit too astringent for you. So is anyone close to finishing? My rice cakes are looking pretty good. I'm feeling like I'm gonna pull them off in a moment. Little status update. Anyone have any delicious things they want to show?
I'm gonna just move this stuff and I'm gonna go to somewhere quiet for like,
Okay, cool.
so we can actually.
See you in a moment.
Properly. Yeah.
Hi, so we are here with three lovely folks from Adopt Teen, which is an incredible nonprofit partner to today's programming. We hope that you're as excited to meet them and to learn more about the amazing things they do for adoptees of all ages. Hi, if you don't mind introducing yourselves, it's so nice to see you guys again.
Cool. Thank you, Elise and Kristen. So great to see you again. Lily and Sadie, we're super excited to meet you all and hope to become fast friends. Amanda, thank you for bringing this beautiful and important film to life and bringing more visibility to stories that are so often in the periphery. My name is Allie Dunbar and I am the Adopt Teen Programs Manager at the park.
Hello, my name is Mary Horsberg and I am a program assistant at the park supporting birth through journeys and conversations.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet everyone. My name is Amy Zong. I am the co-founder of Adopt Teen and the executive director of the park, our adoption community center here in Centennial, Colorado. The park represents 25 years of post-adoption support programming, and we are dedicated to providing lifelong resources to empower and nurture adoptees and their families to grow and thrive.
Adopt Teen is one of our primary programs at the park, founded in 2007. We are a 100% adoptee-centric, adoptee-organized nonprofit operation with the mission to provide valuable connections and life-affirming experiences through leadership, mentorship, service, and dialogue for adoptees of all ages, as early as 7 years old, up through adulthood. Several of our community members are here as well. They're off screen. Hi, y'all. And we are very excited to be able to celebrate this community of powerful, beautiful API adoptee voices today and every day. But speaking of community members, Found was brought to our attention by one of our incredible adoptive mom volunteers last October, and our community engagement team immediately started working on possibilities of collaboration.
When I was younger, I was in a Korean mentor program at my local university in Binghamton, New York, called Binghamton University. From the time I was probably maybe 4 or 5, my parents brought me there, and these people who seemed so old at the time to me, because they were 21, like I was 4, they really taught me about what it meant to be Korean, and that was really through food. And I feel that learning to make bibimbap or kimbap, like rolling kimbap as a kid and having a picture of that, makes me feel like I kind of had a big sibling showing me the ropes in the kitchen for a cuisine that my parents just didn't know as, nice white folks. And is that something that is kind of a gateway to people, do you think, through your programming, that food is kind of that first step in learning about culture?
I mean, it's a great question. I think it's definitely, food is always a huge access point for culture, whether that's your own kind of family culture or a birth culture that you're trying to connect with. Some of our programming at the park is cultural programming, and we do have cooking classes for families and kids. I think it's really important for us that the entire family learns the culture of their children's birth culture, because, you know, adoption inherently brings in multicultural identities into the home. And I think it's important to us that adoptive families become multiculturally literate or interested. Yeah, so we do cooking classes all the time. We have field trips for the community at the park. So high schools and even senior citizens and kindergartners come, and we do cooking classes too. So cooking's always a huge part of our programming, and we love it. We also love food. We're just personally a foodie.
And Kristen's introduction to you guys was through food, right? Through having her come speak virtually during the pandemic, which in a normal day, a normal world, it's hard to get people together. Like all of us being in one room right now would be so much coordination, but through the magic of Zoom and the internet, we're able to be in one place. So do you feel that you've been able to impact more of your community because of the internet and because of COVID, even though it was such a hard time for Asian Americans in particular and for the whole world right now?
No, yeah, definitely. The pandemic was hard in a lot of ways for our community / for everyone, but it also opened a lot of opportunities to connect with people we wouldn't have otherwise been able to connect with. For example, I think of our tween community, and it grew 3 times the amount of tweens we were having a part of our programming before the pandemic. So that has been really, really amazing and wonderful.
Yeah, and being able to meet Kristen through it was also just a highlight.
Yeah.
And Kristen, did you ever have a program like Adopt-Teen when you were younger, or anything like the Park Foundation, you know, has done?
I didn't really.
Park Center has done.
You know, I didn't really have like a formal organization, but what my mom is now a retired teacher, but she was in education for a very long time. And so what she had access to were foreign exchange students. And so she would bring in people from Korea, and they would come into our home, and they would bring me like dolls and, you know, put on the traditional things and, you know, do the whole thing. And so she was more tapped in than I think maybe most are, because she had access to different people and foreign exchange students. I also am talking with a slight list because I just put my Invisalign back in. So just FYI.
You know what? It's working behind the scenes to make this, the moneymaker, work for you. Don't worry.
Exactly.
And I think about modern technology. I actually, before today, my parents had given me paperwork that they had from my birth family, which I hadn't really read until now, until I watched this film actually. And it really like made me think about finding my birth mother. I still am on the fence. And I think that this film really resonated with me because I'm going through the same struggle, but literally I'm twice their age. But I think about if someone had allowed me to explore that part of myself and try to find my birth mother at 16, 17, I don't know if I could have handled it then. And now I feel like I'm equipped to, but I'm half Jewish, so there's no birthright for me to go to Korea. But through folks like you, that's possible for so many. And I found out my birth parents' names and just a brief description of them and how all the information that was given to them in foster care, because I was adopted at 7 months old. And for me, that was really emotional. I actually just wanted my birth time to read my full astrological chart, but now I can look into all of that. But now I just tried Googling my birth mother's name last night and I couldn't find anything. So I have a bigger journey ahead of me. And I thought maybe with modern technology, just type it in, but maybe I should be 23andMeing, because I've done Ancestry, but never 23andMe. That was just a long way to say that you having these trips to Korea or to China or wherever, I'm curious how that works. Do you like select certain people? Do they have to apply? Like, is it part of programming that they like fundraise for? I'm just curious, and I don't want to take up too much of our time together, but that's something that piqued my interest, and we can also take this offline. But I think that's such a special part of the film and a special part of what you do, that you allow people to connect with their culture on a way that, Kristen, you haven't been to Korea yet either, right?
I haven't been. I've gone through my journey of wanting to and not wanting to. And I think at 16, 17, I thought I was supposed to want to. So then I wanted to. And then at 18, I was like, yeah, I think I really want to. But the underlying thing of why I wanted to go and why I was pushing so hard at that age before I hit my mid 20s was because I was missing so much in my own personal self-discovery. There were a lot of different things that I was ignoring. So then I started searching for the thing that I felt like I could identify and say, oh, I'm going to go search for that. And I think over the years of figuring out who I am and coming into my own and, coming to terms with things like my sexuality and things like that, and coming out and living my life and developing this career, I feel like I would go, but I also know that it would have to take something other than just my own desire to push me to go.
Me too.
Because, I think for right now, like thinking about, for me, stepping away from the things that I love here in my present space outweigh for me the desire. And it's also a layer of not wanting to be disappointed when I do go. So there's that fine balance of I'm aware of that, but I'm also like, I'm kind of okay too. So
yeah, I think it's less about filling a void for me, and it sounds like for you, than adding something, enhancing our lives. And I was thinking about the way that food is necessary for everyone. But if you make it like this, instead of just, oh my God, so hot, rice that's cooked in a pot, that's going to taste a million times better, and that's going to enhance your life. So I think that for me, going to Korea is about the food, and I want to eat at the night market, and I want to eat, and I want to learn by watching. Even though I don't have an amma, I can watch someone else's amma make kimchi. So I see a trip for you and I, Kristen, in the future. So we'll talk about that. But
you know what I find to be really interesting, and as I was watching the film, I was watching. I feel like at a certain age, we start looking at our parents as human beings, not as our mom and dad. Yes, they're my mom and my dad, and my mom and my dad forever and ever and ever. However, once we start to come into our own adulthood, I start actively looking at my parents as individuals. And I think that it gives me a whole new perspective on who they are, what they mean, what they want, their own personal desires outside of being my parents. And so as I was watching this film, I found myself oftentimes relating even more so to all of the parents in this video.
Me too.
Whether they because I started seeing my mom and my dad, and I started seeing what are they thinking? What feelings are they having? Because I am very sure about my feelings, but I'm not sure about theirs. And it inspired me to open up a conversation with my parents to be like, what do you feel when I go? What do you feel if X, Y, and Z were to happen? What do you feel? What do you want from me? And I think that was, for me, one of the bigger takeaways I took was being able to watch the parents go through their process.
Yeah. And Adopteen, I'm sorry to end this part of the conversation, but speaking of families, we actually need to check in on how the families are doing with their cooking. So we're going to transition over, but I would still love to talk to you, whether it's in this chat or elsewhere, about just like the impact of these cultural trips, because in the film we saw a whole family do it versus, some people go individually. So anyway, just hats off to you, and hello families. How are you doing with your cooking and your commentating, Victoria? You can just be the judge today from afar.
We just finished.
Take mine up. Well, you talk about yours. Like, how do you feel about accomplishing this dish, and how does it smell in your kitchen? Walk us through.
We are so excited to eat.
Yeah, I kind of kept eating the bacon, which is kind of an issue, but it smells really good.
Yeah.
Even with 3 people, it took us.
Yeah.
We sped it up. Worked a little faster together.
It was a fun group activity. It was good.
We're running around each other.
Yeah.
Trying to get away from the dog.
Yeah. Dog was in the way.
Well, if anyone wants to come to Austin and come work in my kitchen, you are more than welcome. I'll take everyone's help.
Free labor.
We pay.
Ooh, okay. I'm close to Austin.
We'll take the job.
Yeah.
But Sadie and Lily, did you connect to your Chinese culture before this journey through food? I'm curious if like you always liked Chinese American food, if it was like really Chinese American mall food, or if you were eating anything more quote unquote authentic, maybe Szechuan food or Cantonese food. What was your journey with food in kind of finding yourself, and no pun intended with found, but I'm just curious how that impacted you.
See, I think with me, I mean, like since I live in Oklahoma, like I would have like orange chicken or sesame chicken or like pad thai, and I always thought it was good, but like when you're from Oklahoma, it's not very authentic sometimes. But I mean, I've always thought it was really good, but I mean, yeah.
I don't know, for me at least, we I mean, we had like Chinese takeout, but like mainly I grew up with like our typical like Southern styled food, and honestly I kind of resonate with like that's kind of my food more leaning, so like that's more my taste preference. Like Chinese food is good and I love making dumplings from time to time, but I don't know, it's kind of what I feel like food is kind of what you grow up with. It's not necessarily like
And I think whenever we went to China, like we really got that authentic Chinese food. It was like really good.
Yeah. What was your favorite thing you ate while you were there? There were only glimpses of food in the documentary, so I'm curious what the best thing you ate while you were there was.
I've never had soup dumplings, and they were so good.
Oh yeah, that's amazing.
Good choice.
Good choice. What about you, Sadie?
Oh, honestly, I agree with the soup dumplings. Those are good. We'd have like noodles for breakfast.
Yeah,
we like
oh good.
Breakfast noodles are better than dinner noodles, I think. They just hit different. It's a good way to wake up your palate. Speaking of waking up your palate, I made a spicy salmon version because one of my favorite ways to eat crispy rice in Los Angeles is a lot of places do spicy tuna or spicy salmon crispy rice. So I'm taking this beautiful puck that Kristen has helped us make, and I actually added way too much spice to mine. I don't know if you two have a high spice tolerance. I don't, but I actually added too much of the chili crisp. So you're gonna watch me sweat at the end of this, but I'm gonna plop on a nice spoonful. And Kristen may have a great way to show you in the future. Sometimes I quenelle my salmon into, you take 2 spoons and you move it back and forth until it makes this like perfect little, what would you even call that? It's
a football, like a football, a 3-sided football.
But since this is a big puck, it's much easier to just kind of make another puck.
So I have a question, because when I was watching this documentary, sorry to cut you off on the food, but I'm completely fascinated by this entire documentary. And I think it was one of the first times that I ever watched something where I was like, oh my God, I think that's my life. Like, I think there are parts of everyone that was involved that I was like, I can see myself in every single person. And I think that, not a lot of documentaries about adoption do that. And I think not a lot of documentaries with 3 teenagers can evoke such great feeling. And so the 3 of you, the 3 of the girls are, first and foremost want to say that the vulnerability that you guys shared was like, that was absolutely incredible. And it was moving. And it takes a certain kind of person to put yourself in that space and do that. And actually you all were able, which I found the most impressive, because I remember when I was 16, you were all able to convey your feelings to one another, to yourself, to the camera, to your parents, which showed a lot of maturity and a lot of growth and awareness. So that was like, bravo to the 3 of you, because without being able to convey that, there would be no documentary, right? It would just be a camera following these 3 people. So before you decided to say yes and to go on this journey, was it something that you were already toying with and thinking about? Or was it maybe the documentary that actually pushed you and put you out there?
So I think for me, because I'm 4 years older than them, so I was like about to go to like college. So I was like, oh, like I'm about to start my life and all this stuff. But I think in high school, I was really sad about it because I always pushed it away. I just never really thought about it. I was like pretty like content and like happy with my life. But then whenever I got like the message about it, I was like, I don't know. And I obviously talked to my mom about it. And then we called Amanda, and then we just kind of like, we're like, okay, like what like, what's the worst that could come out of it? So.
Okay, just stop there.
Sorry.
Honestly, for me, I think I've just always kind of had like the curiosity in the back of my head, kind of like, I don't know, just where are my parents? Like, who are they? Like, do I have a sibling out there? And I just kind of always had those questions. And I don't know, I never, I don't know, I try to like sometimes like push it away, but definitely when like Chloe started coming to my life and like Amanda reached out saying like, we want to like explore into this and like visit China with all of you guys and try to find your parents, I was very excited. Like I was interested in trying to see if that could be a possibility. I remember going around to my siblings like, oh my God, I might find my potential adopted parent or biological parents. And yeah,
So, you know, I think regardless of ever finding your biological parents, oftentimes it should never be the goal, right? The goal is the process of like trying to figure out who you are and actually sometimes just starting the decision to say, okay, I'm going to try. So I have a lot of friends, and this is where the context of my question comes from. So I have a lot of friends who are Korean adoptees, and they said, you know, they've gone on this journey. And they were like, as soon as we got into Korea and as soon as we started to like look around, it's kind of like this thing you can't really put words to. It's just like an entire whole body experience. So even them flying over, they're like, they can start to feel it. And maybe that's the expectation, the anticipation, the excitement. Growing up, did you feel like you missed seeing people like you?
I don't know. I don't think I ever missed it because all I knew was like the community around me. So I didn't really know any different. But I think honestly, like opening up that side, I kind of realized like I kind of want more diversity in my life. I kind of do feel like I missed out on like, I don't know, we're kind of getting in touch with my culture and heritage and having like POC friends and everything. And I think it's starting to hit more now. I think then I didn't know like what I was missing.
Mm-hmm.
See, for me, kind of like what you said, it's like that's something we've always grown up with. Like, yeah, maybe as a baby, I'm sure we thought that, but I don't really remember or know. But one thing I did like growing up is my mom it's in like Tulsa, Oklahoma. I always went to a thing called like China Camp. So there were like a bunch of other like Chinese adoptees. And so when did I start going? Like fourth grade. So I went at second.
Okay.
I think. I don't know. I was like, wait a sec. But I started going when I was like younger. And like a lot of the reasons, I mean, not saying like getting in touch with your heritage isn't fun or whatever, but it was like also like the people that you met for like that 4 days, like they started to become like your friend. You know, it's like summer friends and you like see them like once a year because I had a friend named Susanna. And she was from Farmington, New Mexico, and now she lives in like Texas. But like we like would go every year and be like, oh my gosh, like, are you going? Like, it'd be so much fun. And that was always when I got to be with like people who were adopted and Chinese just like me. And I still like talk to like a lot of like some of my friends from there. Like I actually went with my friend Suzanne, and we're like 22 now. And we're like, oh my gosh, like we're so old. And we like talk about
you get to our age, ladies.
I know.
It's harder.
But we're like we've been friends for so long, but like we don't like text every day, but like we like catch up every once in a while and like oh my gosh, like, and we're the same major now in college, and like she graduated, I'm about to graduate, and like so it's like really cool.
And I know that you are all cousins, but you feel like to me like sisters. Is that how you feel? And I don't mean to overstep.
That's actually.
It's like you may not be blood related as siblings, like you are cousins. Like, so there's some blood in there, whatever. That sounds gross. Sorry, but I've never had a sister, and I just watching you three connect was really special. And I'm lucky enough to have Kristen as like a sister in my life. We share a friend, Nancy Pappas, who is also an adoptee from Korea, and you must all feel so great to have each other. So I'm just curious if you feel kind of like sisters bonded in this.
Kind of like Sadie, we were actually talking about this yesterday because we were in Stillwater, Oklahoma. So we drove like an hour to come here. And then I was like, I don't really know how it came up. But
no, we just
we're talking about it.
We're able to like go long amounts of time with like not hearing from each other. And then like immediately once we see each other, it's just like instant, like, I don't know, like it's just kind of like family.
And our sense of humor is like very similar. And then we're like, just like, it's like we bother each other. Like she like woke me up today and she's like, Lily, like get up, like the annoying little sister. Gosh, I was like, I am doing so much. I'm tired. Just like, let's go.
Yeah,
I'm bored.
Yeah,
I have a sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying we've gotten to the point of being like close knit family already, even though we live like what 1,000 miles away.
Yeah.
I have a question for the parents, and as the decision and this kind of process was starting to roll, was there any hesitation, and what was if so, any hesitation or fear behind it, and if so, what were those things? And I asked that because I asked my mom the same question.
I didn't. I had actually done a few prior searches. You know, just they had said when she was younger to go ahead and do something because it'd be harder the older she got to find stuff. And they said, you probably won't find anything now, but you might get some information that will help her when she's ready to search. So I had done some of that. We'd placed posters and different things along the way for quite a few years back. So for me, this was really good. And I wasn't trying to push her. I just wanted it there if she wanted it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can't say that I had any fears for me. I would say I had some fears for her, like what would happen? How would she feel? What would it be like? Because Lily and I have been talking about that kind of issue for a long time. And she would bring up things like, well, if I found them, I couldn't talk to them. What would that be like? So for me, it was always an expectation that eventually she would want to do that.
Does everyone want to share their dish? I'm really curious to see how everyone's turned out. We saw Kristen's already. She already ate it. Else have show and tell. You know, my island moves. I'm gonna get a little closer. Ooh. I made one with salmon, and then I made the regular one. So you guys go ahead. Adoptee and show us what you got. Oh my gosh, Kristen, would you like to critique? No, I'm just
I'm very proud. Look at I don't know. I think we did a pretty good job.
I think everyone did a phenomenal job.
We haven't tasted it, so picture wise, feeling pretty good.
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 across the board.
Woo! Yes. And Jean, did you finish?
I did. Kristen, I love your sort of open cooking style, and I love the presentation in the bowl and the reveal. With mine, I tried to tell a story. This is sort of the koi, or kind of the journey. I borrowed Sari's plates. The koi are kind of the journey to finding the heritage, and then through some, sweet times and sour times, and then finish the dish, you uncover an Asian scene. So on the other side. So
wow.
And to answer,
I know you. Yeah, I was going to ask you. Yeah, I would love to hear your answer.
So, we had no hesitation going into this. We were very excited. We had planned it for a long time. But then, while we were waiting, the paperwork was in and whatnot, then the horror stories started to come to us. And the worst one was, or there were a couple of no attachment being formed between your baby and yourself. And in one case, the adoption, I guess maybe a year in, was abandoned. And the idea of abandoning, your child because no attachment had been formed. I mean, I can't imagine having the same life after that, having the same soul after that. So that I was living in terror for 3.5 months at this, this thing I couldn't control and was extremely unlikely. But of course, it didn't come to pass. Thank God.
And I see that we have some adopteens on here of all ages. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining. We are first going to go to Elizabeth in Colorado from Adopteen to ask a question. So take it away, Elizabeth in Colorado.
Oh, okay. Hello. Hi. Do I just ask the question?
Yeah, ask your question. It's so nice to meet you. Where are you coming from in Colorado?
We're in Denver or Littleton. Yeah. I guess my question is, how have your lives changed since meeting each other and then doing the birth search and then finally making the movie?
I mean, like, I definitely get like a lot more questions about adoption, and I feel like that's something like I never really got when I was older or like younger. I mean, so I feel like it's really like nice to like talk about it and like have people that like can relate. And then also I have Sadie and Chloe. So I feel like having them in my life, like it's made it a lot more fun. And like I have like a lot of cousins, but now I just have like more family, which makes me really happy.
Yeah, the family has expanded.
Yeah.
Since the movie.
Jean, we're coming to your house. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Elizabeth. It was so nice to meet you. Now we're going to go to Leah in Georgia. So Leah, we're waiting on you. So nice to meet you. Hello. Hi, Leah.
Hey. My question is, how did you guys know it was the right time to search?
I don't really know if there is like necessarily like the right time.
I think it's more based off of like if you're ready.
Yeah.
And then also, I mean, I always think it's really important to have support with you, whether it be like family or friends. But I had Chloe and Sadie with me, and obviously like my mom, and like they were like the biggest support I had doing that. So I always feel like it's important to have somebody that like is able to talk to, but also in a way like they don't have to be like adopted or like Asian or anything, but like someone that is super understanding and like open to like helping you.
So having a good support system, which it seems like you have with this community and with pretty much everyone on the screen is now part of your community. To you too, Leah. Thank you so much for your question.
Thank you.
And next we're going to go to, I hope it's Melanie, because that's how it's spelled. Please tell me if I'm wrong, in New Jersey.
I'm Melanie. So my question is, so I'm adopted from China and I have siblings who are adopted for South Korea and China. Is there any, I can't say this right, specific aspect of your birth culture you would like to understand better or wish you knew more about growing up?
Kristen, do you have anything you want to share there? Things that you wish you knew about your birth culture or want to connect to?
Obviously food is always a conduit to so many different things in my life. Everything goes through food, but more so than that is honestly the one thing that I truly miss, that I can confidently say I do miss, is just seeing a picture of two people that made me, right? To like, the novel idea of saying, oh, you got your mom's nose, or you have your dad's hair color, or you're gonna go bald at 50, like, I don't know, like all these different things. Like I would love to see the two people that brought me into this world. Yeah. I also know that that's probably never gonna happen for me. So I think the next best thing is just being surrounded by people that look like me, that are now the majority of people that look like me, so going to, like, I have Korean friends, I have Asian friends, but going to Korea and literally everywhere you turn, you're like, hold on, we have a resemblance. And I think that's the one thing that I will search for and that I do actively miss on a daily basis.
I mean, this is obviously takes like probably a while to pick up on if like you're gonna like do it. I like wish I knew Mandarin or like Cantonese or like any sort of like Chinese dialect, because like obviously that's like a way to communicate, kind of like what my mom said. Like it was like if I like met my birth parents, like I wouldn't be able to talk to them. Like there is like a translation thing, but I like would want to do it like with myself and speak Mandarin. But obviously I got a little busy and that's not something I like up on. But I think that's probably something I would want to do.
Honestly, like I kind of agree with Christian. Like I kind of always like wonder like who are the people who made me? Like, what do they look like? Where are they? Like, do I have siblings out there? And then also another thing I've definitely felt like I've been missing, especially with like Gen Z culture, is my astrological sign. Like when my real birthday is, where I was born, what time. Like everyone knows like the hospital, the date, the time, where they were born, but that's something that's always just been missing, and I never know how to like answer people on that. So I just tell them like, I don't know, like I was adopted, like I don't know my real birthday.
And like we don't know the time either.
Yeah.
So you just guess.
You can just pick your favorite numbers, I think, whatever speaks to you. I think
4 a.m.
Yeah, 4 a.m. Yeah, that seems right. Just like a night owl.
Yeah.
And Adopt-Teen team, forgive me for not knowing this, but are all of you adopted or any of you adopted?
Allie and I are both adopted.
Amazing. Would you like to share something that you'd like to connect with your culture and tell us a little bit about that?
I guess I would love to know Mandarin. So personally, I recently connected with my birth family, and it's something that being able to learn Mandarin is something that would help me connect, like they were saying, being able to understand what they're saying firsthand, coming from them to me instead of through another person. So Mandarin is something that I'd like to learn over the next few years and over my lifetime.
It also helps learning Cantonese helps when you order a dim sum. I've found my Cantonese friends can get a much faster order than me. So I'm working on my Hangul so I can get better service at Korean restaurants. Which is maybe the wrong reason, but I think that any reason is a good reason. What about you, Allie?
I think what I want to connect with always changes. It can be like by the hour even for wanting to learn Mandarin. Some days I really want to, and then other days I try to like put boundaries, I guess, boundaries up or give myself more grace in terms of not knowing Mandarin. But I think one big thing I would want to connect with is just the country itself. So spending more time in the country and learning about like the different areas and the different customs when it comes to different provinces. So I think that's mainly what I would want to connect more with.
Well, thank you for sharing. And Melanie, thank you for your excellent question. I hope that your journey goes well. And lastly, Amy, on behalf of an Adopt-Teen, is going to share another question.
Yes. So from one of our Adopt-Teens in our community, this is specifically for Kristen, but I think it can apply for anyone who likes to cook. But for Kristen, did the process of conceptualizing your restaurant and dishes help you connect deeper with all the identities you carry as an adoptee? Did it help you in your personal adoption journey?
Yes. Whoever asked that question, that's a fantastic big question and very thoughtful. And has many different layers. So I would give the most simplest answer. As a chef, I can cook a lot of different things. You tell me what you want and I can figure out how to cook it. It's just, I like to do that. I cook because I want to cook for other people and I want to make other people happy. I don't cook for myself. And so, specifically when I opened the restaurant has gone through many iterations and identities. And the first identity was very much my ego. It was very much conceptualized in my head. And I thought I needed to be the best. I thought it needed to be something that no one's seen before. I thought it needed to be this fancy fine dining, like ultimately the style of food that pulled me away from a restaurant before and why I took such a long break. And so as I started learning, the thing that clicked for me, because going out to all the restaurants and being inspired by all these different techniques and people, the one thing that I was inspired by and the common link with all these was these chefs are just doing what they want to do and telling their story. And I was like, hold on, I have it all wrong. I'm being inspired by, I shouldn't be inspired by wanting to be like them. I should be inspired by how they are able to tell their story through food. And so very quickly I started to shift and I was like, hold on, the only story that has not been told through food is my story. And I'm the only one that can tell that. And so that translates to all aspects of my life, not just cooking and food. You can take that same principle and apply that to all the different areas of your life. And so I keep realizing, whether I'm cooking or TV shows or whatever, at the end of the day, all I have to do is tell my story and come from an authentic, genuine point of view, and I will be able to connect with people. And that's just kind of like the motto and goal of life.
Nice. Snap for Kristen.
Reed, that was good.
We just saw silent snaps because you guys are muted, so it just like I can't snap actually, so that's what it sounds like when I try to actually. Oh, I got kind of one there, but not very good. I heard it. For me, I grew up with of course a white family in upstate New York where it was boil and bag rice, and it was the worst, driest pork chops. I thought I hated pork and rice for most of my life. And then I discovered pork and rice are so integral into every Asian culture. I'm like, oh, that's what I was missing. But I had a loving family who made me nice upstate food, nice comforting food. But now I find comfort in different flavors than I did as a teen or as a child. And discovering those flavors, a lot of them are Asian. I have an entire section on pantry that just says Asian stuff because I just put it all on one shelf, and that's part of the shelf of my life. And then the other part is like Bisquick or whatever. But I was curious if I have time for a question, is to ask everyone here, what food brings you the most comfort? It doesn't have to be Asian. It doesn't have to be American. It can be somewhere in between. It could be anything that when you think of comfort food, that's what you think of. So I'm curious. Yeah, you want to go first? Lily?
Okay, well, sorry. I love cookies.
Do you love cookies?
Yeah, so good.
What kind specifically?
Yeah, like, oh. See, I just love a good generic chocolate chip cookie.
There's no such thing as generic. That's delicious and perfect.
You're right.
Does your mom make good cookies? Is she in the room?
Her mom really doesn't cook or bake.
This is her mom, my
Yes.
mom. Yeah, just kidding.
Yeah.
He said her mom doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Third person.
Yeah.
That's yours.
Probably mac and cheese. That's always a really good cheesy dish.
Oh yeah. Do you have a comfort food, Jean?
Oh, it's sushi for sure, I would say. That's just, you know,
Okay.
I remember when I first got a job in LA, there was a restaurant in Pasadena called Cafe Jacques. I really hadn't had much sushi then, and they had just like a ball of rice, just stuffed with spicy, fatty tuna and salmon. And I thought, this is heaven. This is just a ball of joy right here. And I went back, and you know, it wasn't even a Japanese restaurant, but Cafe Jacques. I just went back like every week to have that ball of joy.
And does anyone else want to share their comfort foods? I don't want to put everyone on the spot because it's a hard thing to think about.
I want to say something about comfort food is comfort food changes often, right?
Yeah.
So depending on my day, what my mood is, what I'm requiring, because I feel like food is so connected to obviously our feelings and our emotions that if I'm sad, I want something. If I'm happy, there's a different kind of pull. I will say the only food that I refuse to cook ever is meatloaf. And because my mother makes the best meatloaf, and I do not want to mess with that memory whatsoever. So I would probably say meatloaf because it's one food that I do not cook myself.
I love meatloaf.
It's so good. Ketchup, the whole 9 yards. It's so
Yes.
delicious.
Does anyone else want to share before we wrap up?
Tell you a funny one about Sadie. A couple of years ago, she's like, buy a cake mix. I want to make this. I was like, we don't buy cake mix. We don't buy cake mix. And now she works at a restaurant and they have a bakery. She works mostly in the bakery, and now she gets it. So it's kind of a funny to me that I refused to buy her a cake mix, and now she's like, oh, now I get it.
What's your signature cake, Victoria? What's the
I
best
bake I actually bake a lot of breads.
Oh,
I bake a lot
okay.
of breads.
I don't do bread. I am not patient. I cannot start with a sourdough. I killed my Tamagotchi. Like, But one of my comfort foods is my mom makes this savory rice souffle. It sounds very fancy. She's not a fancy cook. She's definitely not a chef, but it's this very specific rice that I could only get in my hometown called river rice. Don't know if any of you have had it. It's just a brand of medium grain rice. It has a very toothsome texture and a nice flavor that I truly can't find anywhere else. And then that is cooked with, then you add butter and you add egg yolks and then you fold in egg whites and it puffs up. And it was like the staple of Thanksgiving, Christmas. I asked for it as my sheet cake for a birthday one year. And I'm now trying to take that and turn it into a version that's like an egg souffle, like the Korean steamed eggs, the gyeonjim. So I'm trying to merge my two cultures to make a dish. So we'll see if it works. If it does, I'll send out the recipe and we can do this again. But until then, thank you all for coming today. Thank you, Adopteen, for bringing us together. Thank you to all of the Found families for coming together in person or virtually, and also to Mala Market for giving us this amazing food to work with. I hope that you all go and shop some more from them because their stuff is amazing. Their oyster sauce, killer. And watch the film if you haven't. Anyone watching, I know that all of the people on the Zoom have watched it and been in it and lived it. And connect with Kristen and I and Adopteen online. Kristen and I are both on Instagram. Our names are spelled like you think. I think they'll be somewhere here. I don't know. Is there gonna be a lower third? If there's not, then just use the Google. But thank you all again for sharing your afternoons. And my morning, it's 10:45 and I've already eaten spicy salmon. So I think I can do anything today. And just really appreciate you all taking the time. Kristen, always great to see you. And Found families, I hope that I find time in your city sometime to meet you in person.
Thank you.
Thank you.